check for a severe penalty here. In fact, we do have a VAR check for a severe penalty. A VAR all handball.
How severe a penalty is it?
What minute are you on, Sean?
48, bang on.
Oh, cheers, you spoiled it for me.
It's not a penalty, Burns. Oh, sorry, I thought you were ahead. I'm on a stick. How the fuck are you behind me?
I'm on the app, though, so...
Oh, right, sorry. Oh, well.
I've just got the BT app, but I've only had it on the background. I've not been paying attention to it.
No,
it's nice to know, guys, that you are giving your full attention to the professional recording that we're doing for when we do movies.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
Ah! You moron! Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons!
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
The only bit I saw was City's new defender. Oh, he's having a good game so far. He's nearly handballed it there, and then he got done for the goal as well. Looks some signing like 80 million for him. I
like Vardy. Like, I think he'll be really good anyway.
No, it will be a good team.
Your thoughts on a 45-minute performance?
Who scored for Seville?
That I can't say his name. The striker
Nesiri.
Aye, Nesiri, that's it.
An assist from Villa's new left back, I noticed.
A what, sorry?
Villa's new left back with the assist.
Acuna.
See Villa's new left back.
Has he got a Villa?
Yeah. And Bono. Basically, there's two players that start lineup that are lined up for moves. No fucks given.
I seen Bono was going to Saudi.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Acuna's a fair age as well, though, isn't he?
About 35.
Nah, not as old as that, but
got to be.
He's no any spring
chick.
Oh.
Gary, nobody knows he's there.
Sorry, guys, that was Netflix.
Hello, fellow morons. I hope you are all ready to listen to this episode on 2001: A Space Odyssey, a movie filled with really cool advancements in technology, but with one key part missing. The movie is missing how to get a free case of beer delivered directly from your door from the Morons. The Morons have teamed up with Beer 52 to do just that so that you can enjoy great craft beer whilst watching your own movies. Simply go to beer52.com, that's beer52.com/morons. All you have to do then is cover the $5.95 postage and you'll get your free case of 8 unique beers. Enjoy.
Well, guys, let's get talking about this week's movie. Welcome into another episode of Morons Reviewing Movies. Once again, we are one moron less. After his score was slandered in the last episode, Daniel is still not with us for a second week. So he hasn't had time to recover from the arse kicking that he took. Let's see what he says about this week's movie to see what the boys think. As much as the boys were not paying attention to the podcast and they're watching the football and listening to the football, I am sure as shit that they gave their full attention to this movie. 2001: A Space Odyssey, a movie out in 1968. After uncovering a mysterious artifact buried beneath the lunar surface, a spacecraft is sent to Jupiter to find its origins. A spacecraft manned by 2 men and the supercomputer HAL 9000. 2 hours and 29 minutes long, guys. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling exhausted already talking and start talking about it.
I want you to go first, Sean.
Who picked this?
Who'd you think?
Well, Kyle, eh?
It was me. It was my unseen though, and it's a film that I've always wanted to watch, and I don't know why.
Why are you defending yourself already?
Why did you want to watch it, Kyle?
I've been wanting to watch it for a while. It's a space movie. It's right up my street. Like, I love Star Wars, I love all that type of stuff. So I wanted to know why, again, pretty much similar to last week, why this is so well regarded as being such a big time movie. And you mentioned it a few times recently as well, Dubs. And I thought, you know what? Let's take the plunge.
Yeah.
And let's go for it.
I just want to add something before Sean goes in. Is that I look back to see what I've given Star Wars, And I must have done a Daniel and upgraded that out of fear because I gave it about a 1 or something, Star Wars. So I'd like to retract that Star Wars score and bring it down to like a 0.5 or something.
No, sorry.
I'm backing up Daniel based on last week. So
But he's watched like a sequel with that day, so it had no context.
That was really stupid.
I don't understand why I scored it so high because I thought I'm going to look back just to see because obviously it's summer. I must have bottled it.
Sean, I want you to go first, please.
Well, I was kind of breaking tradition. I'm not really prepared. I'm going to start off kind of similar to what I said last week in terms of like this definitely didn't feel like I was watching a film for 1968. It felt to me a bit at points like I was watching. Was it Predator or fucking Alien we watched or something like that? Mind, what was one we watched? Like
Alien. We watched Alien.
Aye. Some of the kind of scenes in it felt really kind of similar to that, like in the spacecraft. I'll start from the beginning. So when I turned this film on, and I kind of alluded to it in the chat, it's just pitch black, and there's obviously sound, and because I'm watching on one of these Fire Sticks, I had to like fast forward it a bit, like 2-3 minutes, to actually realise that the film was working and it wasn't like a problem with the stick. So I obviously went back to the beginning, and then you've got 20 minutes of like what, again, I thought I was watching the wrong film because it felt like Planet of the Apes, and they were barking apes, like actually barking like dogs, which was very bizarre. Obviously, it's humans in costumes, which I kind of flash back to Daniel saying, I can't remember about which film it was, but he said like kind of when you do this, it actually looks, it's like the less kind of special effects makes it feel and look more real. I don't think that's apt in the first 20 minutes of this, just going by the movements. They were basically just walking like see if you go to like, can any of you remember the Kangaroo Club in Falkirk when we were younger? And remember the big fucking thing that came in dressed like a kangaroo and that? But he was just walking like a human in a costume. But that's just what this was for 20 minutes. 20 minutes of like apes barking like dogs. I didn't really like it. It was more kind of humorous to me, and like what the fuck is this actually got to do with it? Like, where is this going? And it never won me back after that, surprisingly to say.
Can I come in, please, Sean?
Yeah, sorry, when you go.
No, you don't need to apologise. So the bit about the music at the start, so the music's meant to be like scary. That's the way I interpret it anyway. I've seen this film a shitload of times, and very, very recently as well. So the music at the start's meant to be scary. That's the way I interpret it anyway.
They need to do a better job of trying to make it scary, because even though I was watching it on, did you buy this? I can't remember, but anyway, I knew it wasn't obviously that anything to do with. I thought it was actually something on my telly at first.
Just the music, you mean?
Aye, I was thinking like, why is this just making noises? And it wasn't scaring me at all. It was just bizarre.
Well, I'm just saying the music's meant to be like kind of suspenseful music, scary music. It's no. I'm not saying that it's going to be like Jaws or kind of something like that.
Well, see, with the music now, there is kind of bits of the film. I wouldn't even say it's music. It's more like kind of human noise, like kind of like screaming almost.
I know what you're talking about. Aye, every time you see the monolith. It's like women's voices.
Yeah, but see the actual music, right?
Like, I don't know, no scary. Scary's the wrong, maybe the wrong term, but it's like suspenseful.
Intimidating type thing. Like that.
Exactly.
See the actual music in this, like the actual. I think it was more kind of like classical and stuff, and it's. I'm so bad at describing music. Right? I'm going to use the word tunes. It's tunes that like everybody's heard. Right? Were these for this film? Is that where?
No.
Right, okay.
No.
So I don't know. Like, so there's like about, I don't know, maybe about 20 minutes of, maybe more than that actually, of the Blue Danube, who's I think it's by Strauss. Kelly, you might be able to check that, which is probably for the 1800s.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, it's when they're flying to Clavius, when they're going to. No, I think it's all just when they're going to Clavius on the moon, basically, and that they play that music. So, aye, but no, it wasn't made for the film. It's old.
I just wondered because that's old classical music that everybody would recognise, and
Yes.
it's probably it probably won't be the first film I've heard it in actually, but I just thought that because of the age of this,
I don't know about that. I think that's probably it's probably one of the reasons why it's so well thought of, because they put that music.
I actually thought the music was good. I liked
space travel.
I thought it did fit. It's like it never felt out of place or that, and I quite liked that. Like, so that's off the bat. Two things that I liked about it was that it looked pretty. It looked unique, but it didn't. I can't even say that because I've just said it looked like fucking Predator or Alien.
But again, these are films that are like 25 years older.
Yeah, like there's no way, right, that a film that was made in the 60s should look like that. Is what I'm trying to say.
No.
Watching it in 2023,
Yeah.
so I thought the music was pretty fitting, and I did like it.
Yeah.
And I did like the way it looked.
It's pretty hard not to like that, the bits that music's playing, because it's some of the best music that's ever been made, and then it's the very idea of putting that on like a movie about space travel and that, it's like as soon as someone does that, you're like, why has it never been done before? But we're talking about something that happened in the 60s. So, aye. I want to go back to though what you were talking about the stuff at the start. I'm actually with you with the men in costume thing. Like, it is pretty ludicrous. Like, it looks pretty poor. But it's more what they're doing and what's going on that's meant to be the central point. It's no, obviously, you can slag it off for the visuals and stuff like that, but it's really about what they're doing that matters, if that makes sense.
Because that was what I picked up on during that. Like, obviously, it builds up, it's the evolution of man, and it's like.
It says it at the start. It literally starts with the scary music. It starts with the scary, non-scary music, if you called it that. And then it says the dawn of man.
So it's like, obviously, it builds up to the fact that the one monkey finds the bone and finds he could crush or do damage to things with this bone, essentially, right? So then he then teaches his other mates when the other tribe come into their patch, they can just start hitting them every head, and they all go grab a bone and they'll start beating down on this one guy.
And again, they play like classical music over the top of that as well.
But what my thinking was, you see in the context of the film, did that then have the precursor onto, like, that was the dawn of man, and then the end of man essentially was how was this film so ahead of its time at the time? People talking about AI being end of the world. Was that the tool being role reversed another way? So the tool was now the weapon, not. You know what I mean?
It definitely is ahead of its time, because I know we're jumping all over the place, but obviously the stuff that when they're flying to the moon and that, obviously he's got there's voice print identification to allow him access. And this is in 1968. But what obviously they were trying to do in the book, and then obviously Kubrick directing the movies, they were trying to predict what it is going to be like in 2001. When I don't even think they had that sort of technology by 2001. It's way after they had voice technology and all that, voice identification. I mean, obviously you look at your phone now, it reads your face, and then that you look your phone based on that. That's only we've only been able to do that for about 10 years.
But then there's other things like video calling, tablets, essentially, are a lot closer to 2001 than some of the other things are, which they basically
had video calling in the 90s, I think, but it was like one of the things, nobody really had it, so you could really use it. But I thought that is very interesting that they have that in a film from the 60s.
Yeah. But yeah, Man Travel to the Moon a year after this film was made as well, but that's another discussion for another day.
Say that again, H?
Said Man Travel to the Moon a year after this film was made, but that's discussion.
I was going to mention about that, and also there's a Russian guy on the flight to Clavius. He's kind of chinning the Haywood Floyd guy about why he's going, and he's Russian obviously, and Haywood Floyd's American, and obviously they two countries at the time were like fucking at loggerheads about who was going to get to the moon first. But I thought that was interesting. That I didn't know if it happened right after it or not. Wasn't sure.
But again, the Casio watch was still not developed by this, but yet man landed on the moon safely. It back.
We can go into that. Sean, I want to hear you keep talking about this film.
Aye, so just as I was saying before we start talking about the music, it's I kind of sound like a broken record. It is, again, like I just had no real interest in the subject matter, and it just kind of lost me. It does seem quite bad after that first initial 25 minutes, not knowing what direction it was going in. Again, like, it's nice to hear you talk about the kind of meaning of the first 25 minutes with the apes and stuff like that, because that totally went over my head. You'll be amazed to know. I think the start of it's quite memorable. The middle of it, for me, I just felt like I didn't really know where it was going. It just seemed to like jump to different parts for me. So like when they find the monolith and it's all dug up, and then they touch it, it then just seems to jump to another bit, and they're going to another planet. And I didn't really fully understand why at the time. I thought that they would have remained on the planet where the monolith was to investigate that. I'm not even got to the ending yet. Like I really, really want to know what you think about the ending, because
Aye,
like
I think
last week, I had no fucking
that's a
clue.
point of discussion, but I think that's probably going to take a wee while. So I want to talk about the monolith a wee bit, because obviously it is in the first bit of the movie with the apes and stuff.
Yeah.
But we haven't really talked about its significance in that part, because the apes seem to learn from the monolith, like how to use the bone, like what Hunter was talking about. And then the next time you see it, really, is when it's dug up on the moon. But then when the humans sort of approach it, it sends, so that it makes a noise. Obviously, that's a radio signal that it's sending to Jupiter, I believe.
Yeah.
That's why they go to Jupiter.
Then
I
there's the
totally
gap as well.
understand, Sean. Like, obviously, you're saying that I didn't really grasp all of that. I mean, I've watched this film multiple times. I still don't fully grasp it all yet. You know what I mean?
See the bit that I confused, like I got that bit, but then I'm sure it comes up on the screen. It just goes 18 months later.
Yeah. It was straight after that that says that.
Aye, so it's like it depends. To me, it depends what kind of film you're watching. Like, there's some films that you can watch and you can be happy that it just skips, but the films that that I can't understand, and I'm more in Sean's boat compared to the other ones he used, but I need things like this explained to me. They just jump 18 months in front. You're just like, so what happened during that time period? Just decided that just went home and thought 18 months later I woke up, I will go fly to Jupiter now. That's what it looked that like. You need to explain.
That's fine. Because like I say, and obviously Sean touched on the ending. Like, I still don't understand the ending.
No.
It really didn't make any sense to me at all. And
that's the thing. Like, you're talking about the bits of the film you didn't understand. There's a massive, like, half an hour section at the end that I still don't understand. So
maybe you need to take some LSD, then you might feel.
I think I'd lost care by that point. I just made up my own end and just accepted
I think in terms of this movie, it's probably one of the from all the movies that I've watched before, this is the one that's probably most up for interpretation, where every scene and every element of it, you could sit in a room with 20 people and everybody would have something different to say about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you on the fact that, like, I thought the monkey thing, it's funny because when it came on, I remember Sean saying the picture being like, what the fuck am I watching? And I did think to myself,
hold on. I never said what I
genuinely thought you had
genuinely.
He said, is this the right film?
Aye, and it's because I've got a fucking like dodgy stick, like, because I tried both these films the day before, so I was going to watch one of them, and for some reason neither was loading, and I just put it down to that there was some kind of outage. So when I watched it the next day, and it did kind of feel like I was watching Planet of the Apes, I genuinely wasn't sure, because I've got no way of checking if it is the correct thing or not. I'm just going with it, or this must be the correct thing.
I mean, listen, it's fair enough, and I think I can look past the costumes of it because obviously I know it's in the 60s and that's just what was available to them at the time. But I thought that was quite an interesting scene, that first 20 minutes of them just running around, like establishing, you see them bonding and being a part of things with other animals moving around, not a problem in the world at all. Then the monolith appears, they touch it, and then they've got some sort of instinct that they now have to be violent, and there's like ways to use tools. And I do think that the monolith is probably, in my eyes, and alien artifact that's been put there by a superior intelligence, and that's then reacting to the monkeys are reacting to what they, I don't know what's come off it. And that what I find interesting is they don't actually show you the aliens or tell you what put that there and why it's there, which leaves it up to that interpretation. So when the monkeys go and learn how to use the tools, and that scene where they throw the bone up in the air and when it lands it turns into the spaceship.
Aye.
And it's like that bone's that first piece of technology that mankind's got. And then boom, we're in space. And it's like, I thought that was so fucking cool. How that jumped like that. And the cutscene, I thought, again, from the second, I thought it was excellent how it cut from there to space. And
I think it cuts straight into the obviously the music that Sean was talking about, the Boy Done You.
And what I really liked is I really liked the long, drawn-out docking sequences. It took like 15 minutes for them to dock the spaceship. I quite liked that because the music was so... Sorry.
No, I'm not cutting you off. I'm agreeing with you. That those bits are... It's honestly probably some of the best stuff I've ever watched in a movie before. I can't no watch that and no like enjoy it. The music is just tremendous.
The point I was going to make is, because this film is essentially broke up into 4 parts with intermission, do you not feel like, although you go to the opera and it's on stage and it's visual, this was like cinematic opera at times with the music, with the 4 acts essentially. I felt this was almost like an opera at times, but with
the intermission thing. I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but I think they used to always do that in movies, old movies. Especially longer. They do it in they definitely do it in Godfather Part 2. There's an intermission.
Once Upon a Time in America's got one as well.
Aye.
But again, we've watched modern films that are longer, but I felt with that being placed where it was halfway between 4 acts, essentially the film, that it almost felt like a visual opera. Like there wasn't a lot of dialogue at times, but there was always something on in the background which was creating the atmosphere, which was adding to the film at times with the music.
See, I just completely disagree.
There's no dialogue in the first and last half hours at all.
I just hated the lack of dialogue. The stuff that you're talking about, Hunter, just didn't add anything for me at all. I just thought this is up there one of the worst films that I've ever watched.
Genuinely,
you absolutely hated it.
Aye.
I just couldn't get into it at all. And one of the main points was the lack of dialogue. Like Sean had watched it, and you messaged me, Sean, and it was like, "You seen this shit?" And I was like, "No, I'm watching it. I'm about to watch it." He was like, "All right," and he was like, I think he said something like, "Oh, enjoy the dialogue," and I was like, I knew obviously where he was going, but I was like, well, after I watched it, I was like, I didn't actually believe it was going to be as bad, and for me to hate the lack of dialogue as much as what it was. I think I saw something where I was Google about it. I think it said there was 40 minutes of dialogue within the full film, and the film's about 2 hours.
2.5
hours. It's like the music is the dialogue at times.
Yeah. I did think the music was good.
So well and so perfect.
Aye.
The times it's in.
Yeah.
That was one of the very few things that I thought was good about it. But
well, that's fair enough then.
But see with the music, right, the music is good, right? But the music for me doesn't tell a story. It doesn't build a character.
Yeah,
it's just music. It's nice to listen to.
That's what music is.
No, but like in the context of this film, like for me, like the music doesn't further the story. It doesn't further a character.
There's images on the screen, and you're watching spacecraft landing.
The music is providing.
The music on the top of that is obviously there's no words in the music. That's what classical music is. You listen to it and you let it like kind of wash over you in a way, and it's up to you what you interpret it on the back of that.
I think as well, back kind of for what you said, Sean, is like because there was no dialogue between the characters. I'm the exact same as you. That it doesn't make me care about the characters. Like there's stuff on screen, there can be music behind it, can be actions going on, but because there's not any interactions or dialogue, that it makes me just not care about them. Like,
well, I was going to talk about that actually because we've not really discussed any of the characters, because there isn't a lot to go on with most of them, but obviously the two sort of main characters in the movie are the two guys that are going to Jupiter, the ones that are like awake.
Yeah.
And so obviously the first guy, you see him sort of like jogging and shadow boxing and stuff like that. And then he's like tanning himself and he's watching a news bulletin, and it's just literally himself that's on the news bulletin. And then he's talking to his parents and they're telling him about obviously the money that he's going to be getting paid and stuff. And so obviously they're trying to build him up that he's kind of a wee bit like arrogant and stuff like that. And then obviously that plays later with the robot, with HAL 9000. Obviously he's intimidated by him because he's so intelligent. And he's like, he's made one mistake, we just need to disconnect him. But obviously the robot's obviously lip read him, and he's like, ah, you think so, basically. And he just fucking cuts off his oxygen and kills him, basically. So obviously the dialogue, obviously you're saying that you need dialogue, but all that stuff is shown to kind of develop that character without anybody really saying anything.
I thought for me, and this isn't me trying to be funny or whatever, but the HAL 9000 for me was actually the best character in the film.
That's
in terms of
he's voted as like one of the best characters ever.
No, but
best villains, like best movie villains, you've got probably HAL 9000 and Jaws, not an absolute human actor performance between them.
I actually cared more about HAL 9000 than did the two people on the screen, because I just had
you
more
look forward to everything that he kind of contributed to the movie. You looked forward to it, basically.
Not even look forward to that. More just I thought, like, at least he actually talks a wee bit, and the other two just sit there and do nothing. Just bugged me. Like, I really just got frustrated. I'm getting frustrated talking about it as well.
Just to jump in, just a couple of bits of trivia there are things that we mentioned. So, a 2.5 hour long movie, there was just under 40 minutes of actual dialogue across the whole movie, and there was nothing spoken for the first 25 minutes. So, I get why this might be a bit confusing for others. HAL 9000 was voted 13th in the American Film Institute's top villains of all time.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting as well, because he's up there beside the likes of the alien from Aliens that was mentioned, and also Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange.
Kubrick, again.
Yeah.
There you go. Knows how to make his villains. I want to point out a little thing that I'd noticed at the time and I read up on as well, is there's a massive amount of referencing to birthdays throughout the whole movie. And I don't know why that is, but you've got the little girl who gets the phone call, it's her birthday.
Yep.
You've got the birthday man, which is obviously referenced right at the very start.
Yep.
You've got the HAL 9000 talks about being created.
On in Illinois, when it was created, sorry.
And then you've got the guy you were just talking about, like somebody talking to his parents as well. It's just it's quite interesting to carry that.
You say all that, and then one of the last things that you see in the movie is an embryo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is related to birth as well. So.
Those,
all I mean, nobody knows.
It looked like one of those wee aliens that you used to get as a kid that you were told would open their eyes.
Your own alien in a wee plastic cup.
You're told if you put them together back to back.
The babies.
Is that not how babies are made?
That's what happened to Robin,
You and Les just facing away from each other every single night.
Just a precursor for what's to happen every other night, basically.
Every other, you're insinuating that happens in between then. No, guys, just to jump in a bit before my thoughts, obviously I did pick it and I absolutely loved it. I did, which you'll be absolutely shocked to hear. As much as there was no dialogue, I was totally suckered in with this movie the whole way through. I was so intrigued by it that I did shitloads of research after as well. And I just feel like the story's told really, really well, from that birthing man to the advancement in technology to the search for more answers and more answers. Nothing was ever enough, and it was always going to keep going and searching, to the point where technology takes over, and technology was designed with HAL 9000, who was going to go and complete this mission regardless of what it happened with those people. One of the best scenes for me, though, I felt was after the HAL 9000 cuts the ties of the guy that's out fixing the part, is when he turns off the life support to the 3 people that you never see.
Aye.
I thought that was incredible.
Aye. I know, it's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, just
There's
these
a lot
are
of
three
it
people that are,
creepy, actually, the movie.
they're mentioned, they're spoke about, and they're a part of this ship, and they're in there in good faith, and then the machine just turns off.
It just begs the question, what was the point of fucking taking them in the first place?
Exactly, yeah, right. They're not even any use at all.
Yeah.
And the ending itself is obviously super weird, but is this a case of that newborn baby that's in the fucking bubble, is that now being sent to Earth to be the creation of mankind for Earth? Like, has it come from a different planet? Is it a god? Is this now going to be what's the equivalent of a god, if you believe in that nonsense?
It's very odd. The last half hour is very odd. It definitely takes away from it, but at the same time, it's like, I'm with you. Like, it's one of the movies. Every time it's on, I feel like I want to watch it.
Well, the only bit that I had to rewind and rewatch was the part where it goes through all the different psychedelic scenes and colours and all that kind of stuff.
Aye.
Which I don't really mind at all, because I'm quite into my Marvel, my superheroes, and it's all about.
I thought you were going to say your LSD at that point.
Aye.
Sometimes. Depends. But I quite like the idea of the multiverse. We've watched things like Interstellar, where they go in between universes and worlds depending on what's happened. So I wasn't totally against that. Obviously, it's quite dated. That's probably the only thing you can say about that, is it doesn't really hold up as much as the rest of the movie does, but doesn't deter for the movie for me at all.
Right, what I've just got to add in is, although I was touching on earlier, when if you pause it on Amazon, and the second you pause it on, because I was watching it on my laptop, it pops up with random trivia at the screen or the scene you paused it on.
Aye.
So the first one I got was, just that I noted in the corner, was that I put, which is quite apt because of the discussion points that we've had reviewing this, is that Kubrick just wanted this film to create discussion points. That's all he wanted, was people to keep talking about it. I don't know if it was like a money-making ploy. It was like the people will, word of mouth, people will then come and see this film, and it obviously did. And the other one was apparently, so this film, when it was first released, was a box office flop. Like, nobody was going to see it at all. So it ended up just being on in American cinema just late at night, like the last film of the night, they would just put this on. So there were some cinemas on the verge of dropping it, but there was then become, again, a bit of a cult following. So it ended up, because of it, when this film was released, was late 60s, early 70s, your mind-altering substances were starting to be abused in America. So basically,
enjoy it at the
yeah. So basically, that's what it was. It was fully kids going to watch this fully acid, was what.
I think that though, with a lot of like well thought of films, that most of them are no like box office smashes. Like, Ken, I think that's quite common. I bet you Citizen Kane wasn't probably didn't do that well at the cinemas.
I mean, a film released during the fucking middle of a world war was exactly getting flocked with audiences, was it?
Yeah, I know.
There's a few things in life that you must check. You must check to make sure your wages have went into your bank at the end of the month. You must check to make sure that your friends haven't sneaked in a transfer in your fantasy football league. And you must also make sure you check your balls. Check your balls for testicular cancer. Our good friends at CajonaScotland.org are there to support any man who is looking to understand how to check their balls better. There is a self-help guide on the website at CajonaScotland.org. Go on there and don't be a moron. Remember, check your balls for life.
Well, Burnsy, share a little bit more of your thoughts, if you've got any more thoughts you want to share about this movie you've classed as being one of the worst you've seen.
Nah, like, even when I came on, I knew that no matter what you had said, it has pushed my score up by 0.25, but that's probably going to be my score at the end of this for it. So you've got me off a 0.
My God.
But no, this was just like, it was torture watching. Like, from the very start, it just bored me. When they were going to Jupiter, just had no interest in it. Like, the only bit I did think I quite liked was when Hal started playing Funny Beggars. That was a bit different. But I was kind of hoping that he was just going to no, I'm back in, and then it would have ended at that point. That would have been a better ending for me. Would have cut half an hour, 45 minutes off the film. But no, I know that part of it is because I've no interest in space or anything like that too. But no, this was really tough. I did stick with it, and it wasn't even anything to do with how long the film was. Like, it could have been half an hour, and I would have still hated every second of it.
Could you not even appreciate the scenes where, like, when he's killing Hal, when he's turning Hal off and Hal's pleading for him and all?
Yeah.
Like,
No, because I wanted Hal to stay alive.
Was that?
I wanted Hal to stay alive. So you're saying he was like a villain? I know he's meant to be a villain, but he was actually my favourite in it. I actually liked him because.
But the guy that's disconnecting him, he's not really a bad guy.
No,
I'm not saying he was a bad guy, but I didn't think he was.
But then you've got Hal who's also just killed the other spaceman.
Yeah,
talking shit about him.
But basically doing his job.
And
it's just not your hang bombs, is it?
No, but I know you usually say like go in like my closed, like don't go in my closed mind stuff. And although I did know that I probably wasn't going to like it, wasn't if I went in thinking I'm going to have this time with the shite that we've watched. I was thinking I was going to at least have some positive points, but Sean mentioned
that's the worst thing that we can do though, is that like not just yourself, like even talking about the film before it and that, like it's the worst thing you can do because it either gets built up too much or it's the opposite, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just a natural thing of life and interaction with your compatriots and stuff like that.
And I think Sean mentioned about the music that was all right. And then I can't remember the other thing he said, Sean, but because I wrote to delete off my notes. There's the two things that you said, the only two things I actually liked about this film, and they were very minor. But I knew I was going to be that at least the other three were going to enjoy it. But I'm not the kind of person that's going to.
Why did you say that?
What?
Why did you say that you knew we were going to enjoy it? Just because we've said that we've watched it before, or?
No, I just think because I know part of it is me that I know that it might be a good film, but it's just not. It's something that I'm going to detest. But I'm no like I don't care if people. I don't care if I put a rubbish score on people like I can't believe you scored that of 0 or whatever.
No. But you said that you knew we were going to enjoy it. But like obviously it doesn't. Your score doesn't affect your score, Ken. So like it's like you must see that there's some sort of appreciation in the film, and that's what
I was talking about in last week's pod was the whole appreciating the art, but also your enjoyment factor. Like, where is your scoring falling on that? Is it in the middle? Is it? Like,
what I'm saying to you, Bumsy, is I don't know why. If you can see why we like it, I don't know how you can detest it that much. It just doesn't compute.
Like for instance, last week is like when we were chatting about Citizen Kane, like when you were saying about when I was saying, oh, it's 1940 film, and I was actually joking about that because I knew that unless it was a shite film, I would at least think it was all right, basically. But I was just playing up to that bravado a wee bit.
Aye.
But films like this, I knew that Kyle would like it. I couldn't remember if you had watched it before or not. Kyle obviously hadn't.
No.
Because I knew it was about space, and you touched on it before how you like Star Wars. I kind of thought that would have been your bag. You had mentioned that you'd watched it before, Dubs, as well, and just watching it is one of those films that I know that other people will like. It's not because, but there's just not any redeeming features for me at all about it. I don't get it.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the big things that is really good about what we do, because we're also different.
Sorry, I'm not going to give it like a 3 like Daniel does last week for films that he berates for his full review.
He's bottled it.
Well, 3.5.
Speaking of Daniel, as he's not here, he has kindly sent me across his review. So would you like me to reveal his review first, or does anyone else have anything they want to say before we move on?
Nah, I've got fucking pages and pages of notes here, but I want to hear Daniel's.
Okay. So he's put 2001 Space Odyssey. I wish I was there to back Dubs up on this one, as I've got a horrible feeling it won't be appreciated by the rest, and I love this film. This film is everything that Christopher Nolan has tried and failed to copy, and it still holds up really well 50 years after release. Hal is up there with the greatest movie villains of all time, much scarier than the majority of monsters you get in any other film. In a world now where AI is a genuine fear, this hits those chords really well. Hal murdering the 3 dudes that are being kept asleep is so up there. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. Is iconic. Visually, it is. I think it still looks amazing. Some of the shots feel unbelievable considering there was no CGI etc. available at the time. It's beautiful looking. To preempt the monolith thing, as I'm sure certain morons will be asking about it, to me it's the genius of the whole thing. It doesn't need to be explained, as they were put there by greater and more evolved beings to kick on evolution. Dave at the end evolves further beyond humans. Interested in what people feel about the ending, but I think it's brilliant. No motives or insight revealed to these unseen greater beings. They could be gods, they could be humans of the future. This is a masterpiece ahead of its time, and I'm giving it and I'll come on to that later.
1.5.
It's funny because I actually wrote that about the ending as well. Like I was like, I'm intrigued to hear what folk say about it, and he wrote the exact same thing. But HU had kind of covered that basically they just wanted people to make their own.
Question it, aye. It did. Basically, he was basically. What I got from that was that ending can mean to you whatever the fuck you want it to mean.
It doesn't mean anything, basically.
Five people here, Daniel on the other side, 6 people in here, and we've got 6 different views on that ending, essentially.
Burnsy says that it was shite.
I just took for I went forward in time, and he was an old man now.
Well, the whole time and space things still kind of confuses me, like how time's different. Obviously, it is up there. Like, it's quite hard for me to get my head around. So I just took that part. Obviously, you can see he was like an older man towards the end when he was in his suit. That was just like he's travelled X amount of.
But again,
whatever.
that was touched on when we done Interstellar the other week. That like when he goes back to Earth, like how old he would actually be. Like his daughter, like he's no aged in space, but his daughter's like grown up and is no fucking part with the fucking NASA.
That's like the opposite this winter. It was like the total opposite for it. That's quite confusing. But that, like, and I was confused by that in Interstellar as well. I always have been by like how, like, again, it's a different kind of story, but that's why I just think he just travelled it so far in space, and he reached a certain point where he's like, when he's got back into the ship, when Dave locked him out, that he's aged X amount of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, it didn't obviously ruin the enjoyment for me because I've already said I didn't like it, but I prefer endings that don't leave anything up for discussion to an extent. Like you can discuss it and see whether you liked it or didn't like it, or if you thought it could be better or worse or whatever. But I don't like films where the ending's sort of open-ended and then what happens and getting all the questions asked to the director and then like, oh, we just want you to decide what ending you want. I think it's because like I like facts. I don't like if similar to like that's probably why I like preferred Masters in English at school. I like getting an answer to something. I don't like stuff that's that you make your own mind up of what happens.
It's quite funny you
tell me this happened.
Bungie, like, and then obviously Daniel's point about Nolan, like the ending of the film Inception. If you've seen it, how it ends, it's still up for discussion. People have got different opinions. How does that film end? And Daniel's hit the nail on the head. This is the fucking inspiration for it, essentially.
Again, though, that stuff kind of goes back to the movie, though. It's quite ahead of its time to end a movie like that, where you just kind of make your own conclusions. But the thing with you, Bunzy, obviously, you've kind of openly said like you just didn't really understand it, the film and itself. I mean, that's fair. You know what I mean? Like it's totally fair to say that. If it's just Like, do you think if you ever had to watch it again, you would understand it a wee bit better, or?
No. And I don't think even like, not, but this isn't a dig at you at all, but I don't think even the discussions that we've had has helped with my understanding that much, because maybe it's just because I don't really care about the subject matter as well, that you could tell me everything.
That's one thing that you've said a few times, but I'm not really that into this kind of genre of movie either. Okay, do you know what I mean? Like, I like Star Wars, but to me they're completely different things. Star Wars is maybe like a Lord of the Rings type film or a Harry Potter type film. It's like a fantasy.
Aye, like I'd probably say
travel and all that does actually happen. Like Hunter was saying, they went to the moon a year later, or allegedly. Like, so to me, they are not. It's kind of like when Sean said this is sci-fi. I don't really think it's a sci-fi movie. Don't know what kind of movie it is.
That's right one.
So you don't know what genre, or as Bungie calls it, genre.
Yeah. Genre.
Guys, I know, Dubs, you've got notes and stuff that you want to talk about. I don't feel there's much more I want to say. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't want to say I don't know why I really enjoyed it, but I was proper sucked in with it the whole time, and I did do a bit of research to try and understand it, which was interesting because, like we've already touched on, there is no answer to it. So when you're researching it, you're just getting someone else's interpretation of what they've seen. So it kind of halted my researching at that point. I just thought, you know what? I felt happy when watching it. I was sucked in with it. I enjoyed it. The music had me smiling. The big drawn out scenes I thought were beautiful, where they're docking the ships and stuff. I was dead happy. I didn't need a fucking space fight going on. I didn't need aliens popping out in front of me. Like, I was more than happy with what I got. And yeah, I struggled to have really any negatives other than, like I touched on, the bit where you need to be on LSD to understand what's really going on in that scene. And Hunter probably obviously understands it perfectly.
I was under copious amounts during viewing.
He's only in the hotel because Laura's kicked him out again. That's him in the hotel.
That's it. My LSD habits kicked in.
I'm assuming, based on the experience we got last week, that we no longer have any trivia for this movie for this week.
I've already dropped the 2 tidbits that I recorded with Farmers, and that's it.
So, feel free to jump in at IMDb, guys, if you are listening and you want to know a little bit more about this. But I don't know if it would help anybody reading any trivia on this, because I watched a couple of, maybe about 2 or 3 hours worth of YouTube videos, and I'm still none the wiser to when I originally watched it. So what a waste of time that was. I was so sucked in, just sat and watched. I watched this movie and then jumped onto YouTube and just searched different stuff and was watching.
The same bit of time watching YouTube videos.
I'm sure there's a documentary on Amazon about it, Kyle, as well.
But that's just how my brain's wired. Like
you do that in every movie, didn't you?
It's like an itch in my brain if I don't do it. Like, I need to actually go out and understand and find out more. And it's the same if someone mentioned an actor's name who I'd never heard before, I'd spend the next 4 hours researching everything about them. It's just like, I need that knowledge.
But since we've started doing this now, I've stopped like I say, I've stopped doing that because I like to make my own conclusions and my own scoring as well.
It helps when I'm furiously having to search things in the background here when you guys mention it, just in case you ask me if it's relevant or not. So it helps in the long run. But let's get to scoring for 2001: A Space Odyssey. Do you want Daniel's score first?
Nah, Sean.
Wrote that in last.
In last. Sean, can we get your score, please?
I am giving this the same as last week's, 1.75.
I'm stunned by that.
So am I.
That's on the par with Daniel's score for Citizen Kane.
Why?
Because you just completely slagged the movie for like an hour.
I never totally slagged it. I slagged there's points yet. That's that.
Bungie's going to be way lower than that, and I thought
you said there was two good points in the film.
No, I said that's 2 things I liked in terms of
the discussion changed your score at all, Sean.
No, I came in with a 1.75 for both. I never change on what you could fucking say I've never changed my score on what you guys have said. As I said, I'm salt and shake.
Salt and shake, baby. Burnsy, you can go next.
Wait a minute, Sean. You said you gave it the same score as last week. You gave last week a 1.5.
I thought you gave it 1.75.
No. It's only because
you need to go back and listen.
here.
I'm sure I put 1.75.
Definitely give it a 1.5.
To back Burns up, I also took a note of 1.5.
Do you you still want 1.75?
Yeah, still 1.75 then. I've said that I'm not going to change it.
Burnsy, you're shady. You could have called him out for that after the podcast was done.
Oh no, I'm on the
I was certain I gave that 1.75 as well. Oh well, my bad.
I want to try and get Space Odyssey done as far as possible.
Go for it then. What's your score?
0.25.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I want to see some of the movies that you've scored. Like,
Gone Girl has got a 4+, so don't put it into context.
No, to be fair, I was actually half thinking about giving it a 0, but then I had to look at the films that I'd given a 0 for, and there was The Lighthouse, Zack Snyder's Justice League, The Hobbit, and Zulu Dawn, and it's slightly above those, so it's got out of the complete.
What makes it funnier in this whole part is that the only movie the second ever movie that should have zeros across the board is Mega Shark versus Colossus, which is obviously Burnsy's voted higher than all those movies.
That was
Again, that is a whole giving a movie credit for what it was, and that's, as I said, it should be considered for last week's and this week's in your scoring.
Hunter, keep talking.
Right, on the back of Daniel's score analogy for last week, that was the Pelia movies. This is the George Bester movies. 3.5 out of 5.
I thought you were going to be higher than that, Scott.
There's times I'm leaning with what Bumsy and Sean say sometimes, but again, it's probably the same as last week's. I need to watch it again. I went in, I had to watch it last night just with work constraints and times when you feel like you have to sit there and watch it.
A lot of you say that you watch it as close to the recording as possible, but I think that ruins the enjoyment of it, because
I think that's what I was going
to watch it.
That's what I was going to say. That I feel like it does hamper. Whereas when I watched Citizen Kane, I was like fucking near enough 2 weeks out for recording the last one. I had all the time in the world, so I could sit there and enjoy it. I had a 7-hour flight. I could watch it 3 times over if I wanted.
Yeah.
There you go. A 3.5 for Hunter. I'm going to come in with my score then next. I'm going to give it a 4.5. If I enjoyed the LSD scene a little bit better, I could have put it up to a 4.75. There is the 5 out there. It's not a 5 for me. There is that little bit missing for it, but I'm struggling to find what I didn't like about it, which means I must have really, really enjoyed it. 4.5. To finish off what Daniel had said, he had put here, this is a masterpiece ahead of its time, and I'm going to give it a 4.75. It's only missing a 5 because there's too many films that I like slightly better. Fair enough. Dubs?
I'm the same as you, 4.5. First time I watched this movie, it was during COVID, like loads of things, you couldn't do anything else, so you had to just watch shit, and I was blown away by it. Every time it's on, I watch it, and it doesn't bore me. The ending, I know obviously you are saying you need to kind of make your own conclusions, but that's the only thing that takes away from it for me, because and in fact, that explanation of it now is it's confirmed my thoughts on it, because I think it should have more of a message than that, but not to take anything away from it. I think it's just the creepiness and stuff, and the music is just incredible, and I think it's got a couple of funny bits in it as well, like kind of dry humour. I wanted to bring that up. See the bit where he's leaning on the wall and he's looking at the toilet instructions? I don't know if you picked up on that bit. Every time I watch it, that bit just fucking cracks me up. Imagine trying to go for a piss.
I was going to say on that, the only thing that I've noted doing, which I've not mentioned yet, was Dr. Floyd's wife's definitely getting pumped off the milkman.
That's Kubrick's daughter as well that plays.
I've seen that. Yeah, yeah.
She's a pretty good actress. Aye, but 4.5. It's definitely like you were saying about. I don't know if this was last week's episode or this week's, but you were saying about Parasite, Hunter.
Alright.
Apart from Parasite, in terms of movies that I've just kind of watched for the first time recently, this is right up there. Like, it just fucking blew me away.
Parasite, what an incredible movie that is.
Aye.
I think again that is the whole point of going into watching something expecting nothing and getting given that. I'd probably say for first time viewings recently, I might have scored something higher, but that's probably what I went into a film with the lowest expectation and been given the highest reward at the end of it.
Like, we've not even discussed the fact that the Ric Flair music's in it, too.
I know.
I mean, to me, that should give it like a 0.5 on everybody's.
Anyway.
Aye. I just forgot about that. I should
or even a woo.
Having that in film, like that should just be a 0.5 before you've even started to base it.
If Ric Flair was in it, I might have given it that.
Or Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, two bad. Barnsley, what does that do to the overall scoring?
3.21.
A 3.21, guys. So I'm going to give you a list of movies that we are saying to the general public that is better than 2001: Space Odyssey.
I'm going to say it, but go ahead.
So, Happy Gilmore is better.
Definitely.
School of Rock. Logan. 10 Things I Hate About You.
That was me in this movie.
These are all
Silver Linings Playbook, Bunzy.
4.
Sorry?
Silver Linings Playbook.
That was a 5. From me.
And this movie is slightly better than Snatch, Heat, and Scarface.
Good movies, actually.
Yeah, good movie.
When did we
Just
watch
shows that
Snatch?
the Morons hate all good movies.
I can't remember us watching Snatch.
It's on the list. It's on the list. That might have been the pre-Twitch days.
I think it was. I think was that not a Jerry pick back in the texting days?
Jerry, remember Jerry picked a Project Power? Do you ever remember that movie?
Yeah, fuck me, man.
Hey, yo.
Oh. Could give him a fucking razor's edge after that one. Right, guys, that is it. We are done for this week. Does anyone know which the next 2 movies are coming up?
Not a clue.
No.
Please enlighten us.
I will enlighten you. You'll be excited to know that we have got a movie pick from Sean called Green Room, which I've never heard of.
Oh, that'll be good.
Give us a quick 2 seconds rundown on what the movie is.
It's about a punk rock band that get involved in some kind of a bit of a sticky situation involving a neo-Nazi in a club.
I was expecting it to just be a room at Celtic Park with the 8 players not assigned squad numbers and just sitting in a room waiting to move.
Just Benny Old singing the Celtic song to them for 2 hours. No, I do think that this is going to be a top 10 for us, by the way. I really do. I think it'll be unanimously liked by all. Have any of you seen it?
Nope.
No.
This is my scene. And my dad had told me to watch it back in the days where you would have a physical disc that was the film was printed on it through the computer.
Illegally.
Aye, I think this will do well.
That's a big.
I've been wanting to pack it for a while, but it's never been on one of the free services. And then I noticed it was eventually added. I can't remember which one, so I'm glad that that's next.
So Green Room's coming up. We're going to follow up a punk rock neo-Nazi movie with a musical, Chicago.
Oh my
fucking man, Bunzy, honest to God.
And that's my scene film.
That's fucking honest.
Embarrassing.
Imagine going for the 2 films to that.
You should have been better off with a shot at Glory.
This is top tier. These 2 coming up.
I've actually watched Chicago too.
Oh. The first thing you done was shake your head there, Dubs. It doesn't bode well for what's to be expected.
It's not that it's bad. It's just, why would you want to watch it again? Just, oh god.
There we go, guys. So the next two movies that will be for us are Green Room and Chicago. Thank you very, very much for listening. We hope to have Daniel available for the next recording. If he can bother his arse actually turning up to do this, that would be great. But as morons do, bid you farewell.
Right, now's the time to cut in that Space Odyssey music with a Ric Flair. Woo!
Look, give us your best woo, Hunter, and we'll add it in.
I think I've got neighbours like through the wall here.
Go for it. Come on, quick, we're listening.
Woo!
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.